Good morning. Today we will start banking and other financial institution. Now first word is banking. Now what is bank? What is bank? You all know bank is an institution that deals in money. Alright. This means institution deals in money is known as bank. But remember one thing, bank main duty is to accept deposit from the people and advances loans to the others. Suppose I will deposit money, there may be 1 lakh rupee, that 1 lakh bank will not keep. What bank will do? That money will be given someone as a loan, one who is in need. This is the main function of a bank. Clear? Now you will be getting one word, credit. Now credit means nothing, trust. Suppose you want loan from the bank. Bank will trust you and bank will give you loan. This is known as credit. Loan is only known as credit. Trust, where you will build the trust, the goodwill. If you have very good goodwill with the bank, you will be getting a very good amount, or you can get the loan very easily. Very easily you will be getting loan. And if your goodwill is not good, maybe bank can deny also. Clear? Now come importance of bank. Importance. Now what are the importance of bank? First one, supply of institutional credit for agriculture. Now this is very important to understand. Now if you want agriculture production to increase, or improvement should be there in the productivity, remember you will have to supply credit, you will have to give loan. And when you will give loan, remember, then only your agriculture will boom or agriculture will go up. Clear? Improvement in agricultural productivity needs huge amount of credit. You will now also what the agricultural people will do with they will do with the loans or the credit. First thing I am telling you, they will purchase maybe the harvesters, threshers, tractors, land, HYV seed. All these requires money, and you know the pathetic condition of the farmer. Then one thing I can assure you, that if you want agriculture very good, you will have to give credit to them. Loan. Credit means loan to them. Second point. Second point is fulfillment of credit needs of the industrial sector. Now again, as agriculture I told you, they need loan. Even industry also need loan. You will have to regularly you will have to finance them, all right, by meeting them, because they also need the fixed capital, working capital. This I taught you in the previous chapter, all right. Now these things you should know, that when they are asking for the loan, maybe for large scale industry, maybe for medium scale industry, maybe small scale industry, you will have to give them loan. Because when you will provide them with the loan, they can purchase the machine, they can make the factory, they can start work, and they will be earning, and after that they will be slowly they will be paying back the money to the bank. But initial phase you will have to give credit to the industry. Clear? Third one, distribution of funds. Very important, understand it. Now bank, what they do, they help in the distribution of surplus capital. Whatever capital they want to keep with them, after keeping the surplus one, they want to give as a loan. They want to distribute it to the people. Now When what happens when the surplus capital from the region where it is not wanted, many places are there. Suppose in Dhanbad, suppose agricultural loan is available. Suppose I'm telling you it is available, but if it is available and the people they're not asking for it, but nearby in Giridih, people they're asking for the loan of agricultural loan. So it is better not to keep the money in Dhanbad. That surplus amount you should pass it to the Giridih, so that people they should get more and more benefit. The farmers should get more and more benefit to work. Suppose industrial loan is there in our Dhanbad, and industry they are not setting up. People are not setting up the industry, so they will not require loan. Now where they require, like Bokaro, if they require, give it to Bokaro. So they change the region from where it is not wanted and where it is wanted. Now number fourth one, promote capital formation. This you all know. Alright, bank main duty is to form your capital. How? Whatever money is surplus with you, maybe 100, 200, 500, 1000, 1 lakh, whatever. They will take the money from you, and now what will happen? Slowly you are depositing money. 500, someday 100, someday 200, sometime maybe 1000, someday maybe 1 lakh. Now when this all the money you will accumulate, you will see, you will calculate, you will see a very good capital you have, very good money you have, and that is only known as the promotion of capital formation. Because bank promote capital formation. They accept deposit from the public and advances loan to the investors. Just now I told you. Alright. Now come the fifth point. Bank encourages the right type of industries. Very important. Now bank prefer to give loan to those industries, alright, whose products are in great demand in the market. Alright, this means they try to encourage those industries who is giving a very good revenue even to the government, and obviously they're fulfilling the requirement of the people. To those industry, bank encourage and bank give more and more loans to them. Clear? Now the sixth point. Advances to priority sectors. Now, priority sectors means you'll have to find out which are the priority sectors. Like agriculture in our country is a priority sector. Small scale industries for small businessmen, many are there. Now, government what they do? They give advances, means loans to those sectors, or to those industries, or to those agricultural people, or to those people who are in need to develop their organization, or to develop, or to increase, or to expand their industry. To them they give the priority. Now remember one thing, what I mean to say, that public sector bank and the various other institutions are also there. They give loan to the priority sector, but in a concessional rate. You'll be getting some concession. Suppose it is 8% in the market, maybe to those who are in the priority sector, maybe government can give in 5%, 5.5% government can reduce and can give you advances or loans. This is known as advances to the priority sector. Last point, credit to weaker section. Now, who are weaker section? Like the poor farmers. Alright. Now you can small businessman. Now they are the weaker section of the society. Now as the government is there, their main policy, or they formulated the main policy, that all the public sector bank, public sector means government bank, keep note, all the public sector bank, they play an important role in providing loan to the weaker sections of the society. Anyone, I'm not telling only the farmers, anyone who are weak in the society will be given loan, and you'll have to repay back. Alright, now you say, sir, will be getting some relaxation? Yes, relaxation will be there. Clear? Now, very important topic known as IBS. What is IBS? Indian Banking system. Now this IBS is categorized into two parts. The first one organized and the second one is unorganized. Now whom we say that organized banking it is? Whose? Which one? Which one is organized banking and which one is unorganized banking? Now pay attention, you will understand very easily. Organized banks are those banks, alright, in the IBS, in the Indian banking system, which is under the influence and the control of RBI. Straight away under RBI. This means RBI will control and RBI will regulate, RBI will influence. This type of bank is known as organized bank. And unorganized bank, which is not under RBI. It will be not under RBI. You should know that. Clear? Now you say, sir, which are not under RBI, we should invest money or not? I will say no. Because you just now you saw in the news, Sarda Chit Fund, how they have taken money from the poor people in the name of giving more and more amount to them after maturity, and after that they ran away. But under RBI, they are compulsion. There is a compulsion that if the bank will be no more, then also RBI will pay back your money. Clear? This is the difference between organized and unorganized banking. Now the last topic of this chapter, very important, effects, you all know, of weak economic infrastructure. Effects of weak economic. If your economic infrastructure is weak, now what will happen? We'll study. Number first, low level of agricultural productivity. Low level of agricultural productivity. Alright. Now what do you mean low level of agricultural productivity? Now if there is a lack of the permanent irrigation facility, alright, if the irrigation facility is lacking, now what will happen? Farmer, they will able to grow maybe one crop by bringing water here from here and there. They will able, because rainy season is only 3 months, 3.5 months. But nowadays, because of this type of climatic condition, you have seen, we have we are the culprit that we are playing with this mother earth and we are not getting proper rain also on time. Now because of that, once we are getting rain also, that's also 2-3 months, now you can grow only one crop. Now what happens? See, obviously the low level of productivity of agriculture productivity will be there. If irrigation facility is permanent, we can grow more than 2-3 crop in a year. So you will have to understand that how the low level of agricultural productivity is there, because farmer will try very hard to grow only one crop in the rainy season, and you don't have any irrigation facility, you will be not getting any chance to grow second crop. So this is low level of agricultural productivity. Clear? Now come second one. Second one is slow industrial growth. Now what was slow industrial growth? Suppose there is a lack of infrastructural facility, like power is not there, transport system is not good, banking facility is not good. Obviously what will happen? Your growth, the industrial growth will be hampered. Now you say, how? Suppose power is not there, how you will run the machine? First, transport is not there, you have made the goods, but how you will take the goods to the market? Clear? Bank is not there, who will provide you the loan? Obviously your growth of industry will slow down. Clear? Third one. Third is underutilization of natural resources. Now you know India every time failed Alright, every time fail to exploit the natural resources. Alright, only because the infrastructural facility is not good. We don't have good machine to take out. Even I can give you one example, Munidi Kolwasari, when you will go there, many years, many years, the production is stopped. I don't know if they have started or not. Why? Because they don't have such type of machine and they have taken out the coal haphazardly. Now, if they are going ahead to take out the coal, now DGM is stopped because the roof fall can take place. Many people can die. And because of that, what is happening? They cannot take out the coal. So see, underutilization. It is there, natural resources, we cannot take out. Clear? Number 4th, low living standard. Now, this is very important. You know that availability of adequate power is essential for high standard of living. Otherwise, you will have to burn candle at home. And this improves your quality of life because your room will be fully lit up with the lights and all that. If people will come, they will see, yeah, standard family. And if the candle is burning at home, you can understand. But in India, power generation is not taking place as per our demand. We are getting hardly 13-14 hours electricity. You can understand this is again one of the major cause of low living or low standard or low living standard. Clear? Number 5th, heavy pressure on land. Now, what do you mean heavy pressure on land? Now, in urban area, what happens? People, they are constructing more roads and this and that, but in rural area, they are not going ahead. Industries, they are making in the urban area, not in the rural area. And because of that, in India, where rural area is more, we are not focusing the development and expansion of all the infrastructural facility. You will be seeing they are restricted to the urban areas. Alright, employment, income earning opportunities in rural area is not there only. Because urban area people, alright, industry is there, they can get job, but rural people, they fully depend on agriculture. So heavy pressure on land is there in the urban area. This is known as heavy pressure because everything is happening in the urban, not in the rural. So this is known as pressure of land in the urban area is maximum. And the last point is pressure on inadequate transport system. Now understand it properly. You know there has been a less emphasis on the construction of new railway track. Government is not focusing now. This government is focusing a little bit, but other government, they never focus to construct more railway lines. Whatever is there, let it be there. And this led to a problem of overcrowding because train, obviously more tracks are there, more train will be there. Less tracks, then obviously less train, and less train, people are more, population is more, the overcrowding will be there. And the same case with our road network also is there. Alright, because it is also inadequate. Alright, road conditions, you have seen the road condition. Alright, from 2014 onwards, we can see the road is broadened and road condition is good. But then also in many places, still today also you can see road condition is not good. If road condition is not good, your speed will be very less of the vehicle. Your operating cost will increase. Pollution will be there. And accident will take place if the road condition is not good. So this is again one of the problem with the inadequate transport system, which you can say they are pressurizing in the transport system. Next day we'll start new chapter.